drove an hour past cows and cornfields to stand in a hot high school cafeteria. We were surrounded by other families all holding Pinterest-worthy glitter glue signs and balloons. Our family brought string cheese. Room temperature string cheese. Clearly, we had missed the memo. But what the entire room had in common were the butterflies in our stomachs. What would she look like? Would we recognize her right away? Would she be shy and tentative? Or come running at us like in a Hallmark movie? Would she like us? Would we like her? What if she didn't fit in with our family? My husband looks at me nervously. I give him my classic reassuring look. A whole year? What did we agree to? Should we have just gotten a dog? We should have just gotten a dog. No, we're doing the right thing. It's scary, but we can do this. Our kids were little, and we had dreamed of showing them the world outside our doors, but that kind of travel just wasn't an option. So if we couldn't show them the world just yet, we decided we'd bring the world to them by hosting a 16-year-old exchange student from Indonesia. We were hoping it would be a good experience. We were inviting in a way of thinking that there are many ways to live, love, speak, dress, eat, that different isn't dangerous, it's just different. We spotted her in the crowd and gave her a little wave. Her Converse sneakers and hijab made a striking first impression. She still teases us in her deadpan way. You were the only family without a sign or balloons. True, we were quiet, introverted, but as we like to remind her, yes, but our love was big. We were raising observant kids, and we wanted them to grow up informed and open-minded to people and cultures different from them. We wanted our kids to practice kindness in real time. Despite all the planning, it was still surreal that first morning. I remember my husband whispering to me, "We have an exchange student living with us. Can you believe this? It feels so foreign." Angie in Indonesian, was our first crack at parenting a teenager. Our Midwest ways of cheese curds and crock pots was stretched by her worldview. Her reverence for elders, her routines, even her sarcasm were all new to us. She couldn't believe that high school had classes like theater and chorus, that teachers waved to you and said hi in the hallway. In her school, students studied 12 hours a day, often with a tutor, and extracurriculars like sports were never part of school. She was surprised. And we were surprised. When we dropped her off and had her tour the school, she brought a gift for the principal. When my husband dropped her off on the first day of school, she pressed his hand against her cheek as a sign of appreciation. And we learned that in her culture, when you pass by an elder, you actually lower yourself as a sign of respect. During our year together, she didn't just show us her culture, she showed us a way of moving through the world with deep respect and a very dry sense of humor. Like when she taught our daughter how to use these wonderful little things called air quotes. Our daughter started saying things like, "That's really funny, Mom." Watching our kindergartner effectively use them was hilarious. Thanks, Angie. And she absolutely ruined our kids' ability to take a normal photo. Angie and our family were ripe for the experience, and she soon became what we call our far-away daughter. The first time we said yes and exposed our family to new ways, we were high on nerves. The second time came a little easier. Next came Nadra from Malaysia. She arrived mid-year. She connected with us easily, made friends easily, within weeks had landed a lead role in the school play. And she made our family a red bean dessert our kids were sure was a prank. Red beans for dessert? We loved our time together, and our daughter worked hard to learn how to pronounce her full name, all 34 letters of it. But after she left, she didn't stay in contact. And when we said goodbye, we weren't expecting it to be forever. Nadra taught us that each experience is unique, and that even short visits expand hearts and are still worth doing. When Franco, our Argentinian charmer, entered our world, his playful presence was a lightness at a time when our family needed it most. And no, that's not a wig. His hair always looked that great. It even looked great being pulled behind our boat on a tube, and it froze and photographed beautifully in winter. Franco brought variety and levity to our home in all the best ways. He brought new words to our vocabulary. Headaches became headache. Mayonnaise, mayonnaise. And our kids' names, Charlie became Carlito, Julia turned into Shulia, and our oldest son, Isaac, Franco said it sounded like, I suck. Fortunately, our son was amused by this, so the nickname I suck stuck. And it's still in heavy rotation. Franco thought our 11:30 bedtime was adorably early. He couldn't understand why we liked cinnamon, and he gave us passionate speeches about the greatness of mate, asados, empanadas, and Argentina. He brought the passion of his country to our doorstep, and in sharing it, reminded us of how much we love ours. And then in walked Ceren from Turkey, now Turkey. Music lover, true crime aficionado. Everywhere she went, she viewed as a potential crime scene. Walks and woods were always viewed suspiciously, which made for a very interesting year. What wasn't suspicious was ice cream. I'm confident our local ice cream shop will be naming a flavor after her. Ceren's room always pulsed with music. She made playlists for me in an effort to make me hip. Such a valiant and successful effort. Her love language was music. So when she learned that her favorite artist was going to be playing in Milwaukee, she convinced her American friends to go with her. She was living her dream, and she nearly hyperventilated from excitement. About a year after Ceren returned home, a massive earthquake hit Turkey. Hundreds of people in her city died. She messaged us that night. I'm scared, but I'm safe. So many others aren't. And then in the following days, can you send me music? Something that I can feel with, but also breathe? She wanted 80s music. Luckily, that's my era. So I made her a playlist with artists like The Cure, George Michael, Prince, songs that were angsty, but still allowed her to process her emotions. In one of the darkest moments of her life, what she asked for was music, to feel and connect. Proof that although our cultures may differ, our hearts beat to the same rhythms. And then bounded Amina from Tunisia. Extroverted, hopeful cheerleader, fashionista, the complete opposite of our family. Happily, Amina achieved her goal and she made the dance team. Exchange students are brave. I mean, what teenager leaves their home to go live with a strange family in a different country? But Amina, she threw caution to the wind. She was terrified of water, couldn't swim, and yet there she was, climbing onto that tube, eyes closed, holding her breath, being pulled behind our boat on Lake Winnebago. She screamed the whole way, but she did it. Here's the one picture we have of her not screaming. And I want you to notice her at the end of the year calmly swimming in a swanky pool, much more her speed. Amina's examples made us braver too, because courage isn't taught, it's demonstrated. Our host children changed our lives, leaving pieces of them behind and taking pieces of us with them. We felt a deep sense of loss when we learned that Angie's grandfather had passed away. He was the one that had convinced her family to let her study abroad. We had spent hours searching for the perfect cowboy hat for her to take home to him. She wore it on the plane ride home. He loved it. And when my mom, Grammy Joe, passed away, the students mourned with us. In lieu of flowers, they sent memories, songs, messages that simply said, "We're feeling this with you." Because that's what family does. Not just the ones you're born into, but the ones that you choose, the ones that you cultivate, the ones that start with a stranger's picture and a handful of nerves. Our family grew in empathy, in perspective, and in playlist tolerance. Franco's Argentinian trap music, a real test. We started watching the news differently because now it had names and faces of people we loved. And our oldest son, you remember Isaac? Isaac has spent the last 3 years traveling the world, working remotely. At last count, he's visited 36 countries and several of our students. All because we said yes. Because that's what hosting teaches you. Different doesn't equal dangerous. It just means different. 14 years after hosting our first exchange student, Angie, we were in Bali, seated at her wedding as family. We're the tall ones on the far right. Still, no glitter glue sign, no balloons, no string cheese, but the love, it was big. You don't have to travel the world to grow your heart. You just have to open your door, open your playlist, open your worldview, let the world in. Because when you do, it changes what you see. And you see the world and its people differently. You don't have to be bold or bilingual or wildly extroverted. You just need a heart willing to say yes.